You're listening to the PRO Media Network. The next level in entertainment.
Get ready, it's time for the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Telling you everything you need to know about the Saints, Pelicans, and a whole lot more.
Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. And we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports family. I'm Big Q, and this is podcast 225 on the Coma. That's right, podcast 225 on the Sports Coma. I'd like to thank everybody, every last one of our listeners, new and established listeners, for giving us an opportunity to talk Saints with you today on a continual basis, man. A lot to talk about in episode 225 of the Sports Coma. Before we get started, I'd like to give a big shout out to the LSU Tigers, man. They were able to wax the Miami Hurricanes 33-17. The 25th ranked LSU Tigers, by the way, top the 8th ranked Miami Hurricanes 33-17 Sunday. Big win for the LSU Tigers. I started to show off with that. You know, I'm a big Tiger fan. But getting into some Saints news, of course, we're going to talk about on episode 225 of the Sports Coma. We're going to recap the fact that the Saints have a new running back. That's right, the Mike Gillislee. You know, that might sound familiar to some people. That's the former New England Patriot running back, Mike Gillislee, is now a Saint. He signed a one-year deal with this team, and we'll go over that and see what talk about what his signing means to the Saints running back room and what he could do for the Saints. We'll cover that in today's show. We'll recap the practice squad additions. Of course, the Saints filled out the practice squad. If you want to know about our regular season roster show, that's the previous show, podcast 224. The link should be here if you want to listen to that show where we go over the active roster, who made it, who didn't make it. This particular show, we're going to be dealing with the practice squad. Now, of course, the Saints added 11 people to their practice squad. 10 plus 1 international player, which was Alex Jenkins. We'll cover that. We'll also talk about the fact that the Saints, so many draft picks for the Saints didn't make the team. Now, if you go back the last couple of years, the majority of our draft picks made the team. What does it say for the Saints today? That two players like Cameron Moore and Nate Stupar didn't make the team. What does that say? Of course, Nate Stupar was a guy that a lot of people felt should have made the team. I thought he did a better job than Justin Hardy. I think he's a better player than Justin Hardy. It's the fact that Justin Hardy was just so impeccable at special teams is the reason why Nate Stupar is not on the team. I think that'll be a bad move for the Saints moving forward. And of course, Nate Stupar, it was hoping he cleared waivers. That was a big chance. Of course, he didn't clear waivers. And a couple of other Saints players, we'll let you know where those guys went as well. Some of these guys didn't clear waivers. Muhammad and a few other guys are no longer Saints. They now belong to other teams. So we'll break that down and tell you where those guys went in today's show. Of course, the Sports Coma question of the day. The question of the day, of course, with the Sports Coma is, what do you think about why some of the Saints draft picks didn't make the team? What does that say about our draft process? Of course, we've been hitting on them the last couple of years, but Nate Stupar and Cameron Moore, we thought those guys had enough to make the team. Most certainly, I thought Cameron Moore could do more than what JT Gray could. Nobody thought JT Gray, no disrespect to JT Gray, but JT Gray didn't even think he was going to make the team. I mean, you take a look at it, Cameron Moore and Nate Stupar, who can play safety, was probably a better pick for the position, but the Saints decided to run the gambit, the risk of having him to clear waivers. Of course, he didn't clear waivers. But what does that say about the Saints draft process that a couple of those draft picks didn't make it? Does it say something? Does it say nothing? I mean, you tell me. What do you think? Put it in the comment section below. Tell us, well, Big Q, we've been hitting on the draft the last couple of years. What's 2 draft picks? It could be a status that if you say, well, the draft process, they need to get better at it. Tell us what you think. Tell me what you think, and I'll read it on the show for the next podcast. Now, getting right into the meat and potato, we're going to start off with, of course, Mike Gillislee. Of course, if you remember him, he was a guy who spent some time with the Patriots, with Buffalo. And if you remember, he rushed for 960 yards and 13 touchdowns in the last 2 years. Of course, he became expendable with the Patriots this year when the Patriots did bring over Jeremy Hill, who was with Cincinnati, who's basically the same type of back that he is, a power back, north-south runner. They felt like he was more of an accomplished back than what Williams was, even though Williams made the practice squad. He cleared waivers and was able to be put on to the practice squad. But the Saints obviously like Gillislee and what he can bring to the team. We knew that something was going to happen when they released Williams. And the team was adamant that, listen, we're going to improve the running back situation. Of course, Mike Gillislee, his best year came back in 2016. When he played in 15 games, he had 101 attempts for 577 yards, averaged almost 6 yards a carry on it. He had 8 touchdowns in 2016, and of course that drew New England's attention because they said, well, we got to get this guy in here, and they ultimately did bring him in. And he played 9 games for the team, had 104 attempts for 383 yards. Of course, he shared the backfield with guys like James White and Burkhead and other players. So he had 5 rushing touchdowns that year. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, you look at his career rushing touchdowns, 16 rushing touchdowns with 1,248 rushing yards and 258 carries. And is a 6-year back out of the University of Florida. So what does that mean for the New Orleans team? They bring in Gillislee and ultimately stick Williams on the practice squad, which is pretty much where he ended up at. This is a north-south guy. He has some wiggle, but he's a touchdown machine. He's a red zone, one of those red zone guys, one of those short yardage backs that'll get it done for you. He's definitely an upgrade over Williams. Of course, you guys that listen to the show knew what my mind was. I wanted the Bo Scarborough type guy. Of course, the Saints didn't look at Scarborough. They got Gillislee in this place. I'm not mad about the move. I think it's a pretty exciting move for the team, by the way. But it's the fact that the team signed him to a 1-year deal, which means that he's going to be on the roster for the entirety of the year. Of course, when they signed Travis West, we was asking, does Travis West take Mark Ingram's job? Of course, we know Mark Ingram's in the final year of his job, and we have Mike Gillislee signed for a 1 year. So the Saints are preparing themselves for the month that Ingram is going to be away. And to be quite honest with you, Gillislee is a pretty good back to have carrying a load. He's a 6-year guy, so he's not exactly a rookie. He's an experienced guy that's coming in. He's more experienced than any back that you have as a running back. He's more experienced than Elvin Kamara. He's more experienced than Bo Scott. He's more experienced than Trey Edmonds, who they might, if they didn't sign Gillislee, who they probably could have used as a third back. But this guy's an experienced back. He can get some things done for you. Looking at it, his catching ability, not much on the receiving game. He only 16 catches for 94 yards and 1 touchdown as a receiving back. So this guy's not a receiving back. He's strictly a power back, short yardage guy that ultimately moved the chains for you. Like I said, he averages almost 5 yards a carry through his 6-year career. So interesting pickup by the Saints to get Mike Gillislee. Actually, it's a pretty solid move. Of course, my heart was set on Bo Scott to get Bo Scott here, but of course, I'm not mad about the Gillislee move. I like the Gillislee move. It's a solid move. It's an upgrade over Williams, to be honest with you, and I like Williams, but Gillislee is definitely an upgrade over him at this state of his career. So big ups to the Saints for improving the running back situation by adding former Patriot Mike Gillislee. He has some company. Of course, Sean Payton loves getting those New England guys. Austin Carr, wide receiver, he was with the Patriots. We had Woodrow Hamilton, who made the practice squad. He was with the Patriots. And, of course, Mike Gillislee is the running back. He signed a 1-year deal to be a Saint. So big ups to Mike Gillislee. Welcome to the Saints, and good moves by Sean Payton all the way around. Now, the next topic of the show, we're going to talk about the practice squad. Of course, the Saints had an opportunity to fulfill their practice squad and fill out the rest of their practice squad. And the interesting names, and of course we asked you guys to chime in on what your thoughts on about the practice squad. Did you like who the Saints picked up on the practice squad? That should be the question of the day. But you can answer either one of those questions. But really, that's the question I really would like to know is, do you guys agree with some of these practice squad additions? Because it's pretty interesting. The Saints were able to add a few people, and we're gonna break them down. Starting with Garrett Griffin. Of course, we know we like Garrett Griffin at the Sports Coma. Garrett Griffin follows the Sports Sports Coma. Big ups to Gary Griffin. He made the practice squad. He's a guy that could block. Not much of a catching tight end, but he's a guy that could provide for you good blocking, and he knows the system. So the Saints stashed him away on the practice squad after he cleared waivers. And, of course, we know about Dan Arnold making the team and the like. So big ups to Garrett Griffin. He's back on the practice squad. Keith Kirkwood is another guy that a lot of people had making the team active roster. But Keith Kirkwood was able to clear waivers, and the Saints stashed him on the practice squad. Now, he's 6'3", 210 pounds. He showed some speed. The dude has some speed. But the thing that really hurt Keith Kirkwood moving forward is, I'm telling you, if Keith Kirkwood would have caught all of those passes, if he would have just turned into Willie Snead this year, he would have beat Austin Carr out for that position because he's bigger and faster than Austin Carr. I just thought that if he didn't have a Willie Snead type camp, when Willie Snead first joined the organization, Willie caught everything. Now, he knew Willie wasn't the fastest person, wasn't the strongest person, and probably not the smartest person, but Willie Snead was sure-handed, and the Saints love big guys that's sure-handed. And Keith Kirkwood really, if he'd have put a little bit more effort in, he could have definitely took that spot from Austin Carr. Big ups to Kirkwood. He makes the practice squad. Rick Leonard, Saints 4th round draft pick. And of course, this was 3 of picks that the Saints had. They had, of course, Leonard. Then you had Natrell Jameson and Cameron Moore. All these guys didn't make the team roster. And to me, that says a lot for the Saints draft process, because usually when whoever they draft usually makes the team. But to not have 3 guys, Rick Leonard, Cameron Moore, and then you have guys like Natrell Jameson, which I think that's a huge blunder. Natrell Jameson, you could have stashed him on the team as a cornerback, as a safety. You can't tell me that Natrell Jameson is not better than J.T. Gray. You can't tell me that Natrell Jameson isn't better than Justin Hardy, and that he can't learn to do what Justin Hardy does on special teams. You can't tell me that. But at the end of the day, he's somewhere else, and Hardy's here. Rick Leonard is one of those 3 guys that were released. He cleared waivers. The Saints brought him back, stashing him on the practice squad. Woody Hamilton, another guy that came over from the Patriots. Of course, you remember that Woody Hamilton was on the practice squad before. He played in the Minnesota Vikings game of last year, had a couple of tackles, was effective. The Saints like Woody Hamilton a lot. I like Devereaux Lawrence better. I wouldn't have traded Devereaux for a 7th-round draft pick that probably won't turn out to be anything. But at the end of the day, I understand the logic. But Woody Hamilton is a solid defensive tackle. The Saints stash him on the practice squad again. Now, this is interesting place because we had J.T. Barrett. We knew J.T. Barrett was going to clear waivers. We knew J.T. Barrett was bound for the practice squad. That's not a big surprise there. J.T. Barrett is a guy that had a very mediocre camp. Very mediocre, and he needs a lot of seasoning and a lot of training. So it's interesting that the Saints finally stashing him on the practice squad now. But J.T. Barrett has a lot of potential, and he could turn out to be something for the Saints with Sean Payton. Those guys will whip him into shape eventually. You got Teddy Bridgewater and those guys like that. Very interesting quarterbacks the Saints have situating around them. Very interesting. So he makes the practice squad. Deion Yelder, the 6', 255-pound tight end. The guy is going to be a really solid tight end for the Saints in the future. But the problem with Deion Yelder is just was lost. Just was a total different world. He was out of place. He was missing assignments. He just was an absolute disaster. But the kid has potential. So the Saints stash him on the active roster. Hopefully he can eventually, pick up the system and move forward, because the Saints next year, all of those guys going to be, the whole tight end room is going to be empty. I mean, all those guys' contract are up after a year. And if he plays it right, Deion Yelder and Dan Arnold, those guys could fit right into the cusp if the Saints don't draft a tight end. My idea is they're going to pick up one in the draft. Nate Wozniak, offensive lineman, tight end turned offensive lineman. Nate Wozniak, the huge, probably the biggest football player in all the league, 6'10", a guy that the Saints changed over from a tight end to an offensive lineman. Didn't really make any headway. That dude is the only dude that made 6'7" Rick Leonard look like he was a kid. When Rick Leonard was standing next to Nate Wozniak, who's 6'10", Rick Leonard looked like a kid. And I'm like, wow, how 6'10" guy make a 6'7" guy look like a child? But Nate Wozniak didn't show too much. He's still learning that position, making a change from a tight end to an offensive lineman. That's a lot to learn. So they put him right where he belongs on that practice squad, and he'll figure it out. Of course, Alex Jenkins. We knew Alex Jenkins, and I'm a big Alex Jenkins fan. I love Alex Jenkins. I think with time, this kid is going to be fantastic. He's going to be excellent. And the fact that the Saints are bringing him to the practice squad again is good, because he could use a lot of that practice squad to be able to kind of grow in the Saints system. So that was a good move. Of course, the Saints did bring back Jonathan Williams after saying, you know what? We like Jonathan Williams. He showed us what he could do at camp. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to do something different. We're going to go and put Jonathan Williams we're going to waive you, then go sign Mike Gillislee to a 1-year deal. If you clear waivers, we're going to bring you back. And they did bring him back and put him on the practice squad. So that's a pretty good move, because you got a back that knows your system. If something was to happen to Mike Gillislee, you can bring Williams off the practice squad and activate him to play. So good insurance policy to have. Now, those are the guys that we're familiar with. Now, the Saints did get a few other guys that we're not familiar with on the team. So let's take a look at this as well, as the Saints did add linebacker Vince Bajel. If I hope I'm saying that right, Bajel is a linebacker. Now, of course, the Saints, he's the only linebacker on the practice squad, which is surprising, because I would probably thought they would have kept two, maybe Colton Jumper, maybe Kashawn Freeman, maybe Jaron Elliott, maybe somebody like that you would probably put on the practice squad. No, the Saints said we're going to put Vincent Bajel on the practice squad. Now, who is this Bajel character, you might ask? He's a 4th-round pick from Green Bay last year, and he missed the first half of the season and was on the physically unable to perform list, but he did make 7 tackles in 9 games, mostly as a reserve special teams player. The Saints see potential in this man. They bring him in, put him on the practice squad. And, of course, the last practice squad player that the Saints added was a running back. So we got 2 running backs on the practice squad. Kind of weird the Saints added that many running backs. What are they anticipating? You got Elvin Kamara, you got Bo Scott, now Gillislee, and then you got Trey Edmonds as running backs on the active roster. You got Jonathan Williams on the practice squad, and then you add Dwayne Washington. Now, Dwayne Washington's a running back. He spent the first couple of years with the Lions, who selected them in the bottom of the 7th round. Now, he comes from the University of Washington, and he struggled as a runner his first 2 seasons. He had 110 carries for 309 yards, averaged about 3 yards a carry, but he looked okay in the preseason, and he also could play a little special team. So, interesting pick the Saints have that with Dwayne Washington on the practice squad. But the fact the Saints have 2 running backs, come on, family, think about that for a second. They have 2 running backs on the practice squad and 1 linebacker. Usually you would have, it wouldn't be the same. And then, and if that don't float your boat, think about it like this. The Saints don't have any defensive backs. Not 1 defensive back on the practice squad. Are you concerned about that? I'm concerned about that. I'm very concerned about that. The Saints don't have any defensive backs. Not 1, not a cornerback, not a safety on the practice squad. Is that smart? Think about that for a second. How often P.J. Williams is hurt. I mean, seriously, anybody concerned about that? Let me know. The Saints, this is a little bit of news here that we're going to report about the fact that the Saints did release Nate Stupar to make room for Mike Gillislee. So, interesting. Nate Stupar, he fought his tail off. They tried to trade him. Nothing happened from that. Nobody wanted him. And ultimately, the Saints said, you know what? We're going to have to release somebody to be able to create a roster spot for Gillislee, and Nate Stupar was the man in order to make room for Gillislee. What do you guys think about that move? That's a big move in itself as they release Stupar. Now, Stupar coming off of injuries and all this kind of stuff, but he's the antithesis of what a Saints linebacker is. He has a big heart, even though he's not the fastest linebacker in a linebacker room. This guy gives you what guys like Mitch Lowen and Devereaux Lawrence will give you. They give you all their heart. They give you a full-out effort on every play, whether they're tired or not. They constantly go up and beyond themselves to help the team, and it's just sad for him. And instead of cutting a guy like Trey Edmonds, who's just going to be a backup fullback, and you don't really need a backup fullback. I mean, if you want to make him the fullback, make him the fullback and get rid of line, which they're not going to get rid of line. Most teams don't keep fullbacks anyway. The Saints do, but Saints have 2 fullbacks. Think about that. When the last time the Saints to go into the season with 2 fullbacks? Now, of course, Trey Edmonds plays special teams, but he's not that great of a special teams player where you got to like, oh, man, we got to cut Nate Stupar, who's a better special teams player than him. So I just don't get the logic with this one here. Kind of upsets me a bit, but Nate Stupar is not a Saint anymore. So big ups to Nate Stupar. Hopefully they find that he comes back in some kind of capacity to help New Orleans, because we always mysteriously have some linebackers that's going to get hurt. And Nate Stupar's name is going to be one of the first names on the callback list. And that's the practice squad for all of the Saints players right here, the full-out practice squad for New Orleans. We're going to go to our break. When we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to finish up on the rest of the Saints players that didn't make it back to the practice squad but ended up going somewhere else. We'll have our question of the day plus our comments from the previous question of the day and other news on the side of the break. So you're listening to Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Stay with us.
I'm a Saints and Pelicans fan, so the only podcast I can get my fix is the Sports Coma with Big Q. The guy's intense, funny, and they always keep it real.
Check out the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
Sports fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear. From all the leagues, teams, and players you love, unique one-of-a-kind designs exclusively by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars shipped directly to your home. Join Fanatics Rewards for free to earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and for a limited time, get 20% off all orders. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
Hit the link below and rep the black and gold today. Who that?
What's up, Sports World? The PRO Media Network is on a mission to reach 10,000 subscribers. So besides our regular programs like the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, the Pelican Post Game Report, Rapid Fire TSC, and others, we will be expanding out and offering other content like movie, anime, and gaming reviews for your entertainment. So if you enjoy our content, please donate at our Patreon page. Also subscribe, comment, and share. And help the PRO Media Network reach 10,000 subs. Peace.
Follow the Sports Coma on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. And in this segment, we're going to recap the rest of the Saints players who didn't make the cut, who didn't clear waivers, but ended up going on other teams. We'll recap that on this side of the show. Elsewhere, and we're not just talking about this year, we're talking about last year because they waived quite a few people. Muhammad, who was a fan favorite for the Saints for the last couple of years that he'd been here, he had a great preseason last year, not so much this year. The Saints ended up releasing him, and a few other people, Nate Jamerson, a defensive back, Cameron Moore, El Kadim, and then they did bring in wide receiver Tanner McAvoy, who they signed from Seattle to be a special teams player, waived all of those guys. And ultimately what ended up happening is that the Nate Jamerson, who was a 5th round pick this year, he was claimed by the Houston Texans. So they get an excellent cornerback. Nate Jamerson is going to play football with the Honey Badger in Houston. So to me, I would have not cut Nate Jamerson. He plays 2 positions. He's fast. He can help in the kick return game. I don't know what the hell you guys were thinking when you cut Nate Jamerson. Cameron Moore, I can understand that. Cameron Moore, he was hurt most of the time, but he had an outstanding final preseason game. He was released, and the New York Giants claimed him. So he's a Giant now. And then, of course, El Kadim Muhammad, who was a 6th round pick in 2017, he was claimed by the Indianapolis Colts. So they're in need of pass rush, and this could be big for them if he could perform up there with the Colts. And then finally, Tanner McAvoy, who was wide receiver tight end, who the Saints claimed, who they signed from Seattle. He played 1 game for the Saints. Saints thought he can help him. He ultimately was claimed by the Miami Dolphins, and of course Rick Leonard did clear waivers, and the Saints did sign him on the active roster. So that's a little information from those guys. Shame on you for getting rid of Natrell Jameson. I do like the Mike Gillislee move, but Natrell Jameson is going to come back to bite you in the butt. I promise y'all that. Y'all know it like I know it. And then, of course, before we leave, let's read some of the questions, some of the comments from the Sports Coma's question of the day from last show is, which cuts surprise you the most? Of course, like I tell you, that anybody that comments in our comment section, we read the comments on the following show. So last week's show was, which cut surprised you the most that the Saints made? Jose Vela, he replied, number 55, Jaron Elliott, I could not believe he was cut. I'm with you on that, Jose. I think that was a very mysterious move. They ended up cutting Nate Stupar anyway. Declare a spot for Gillislee, who, by any stretch of the imagination, they should have cut Edmonds. That was my call. Cut Edmonds. If you like him that much, then get rid of Zach Lyon. You don't need two fullbacks on this team, especially if I can understand you stashing him if you was going to use him as the third back. But not at Gillislee here. Why do you need him when Nate Stupar is a better special teams player than Edmonds? We're not talking about potential here. We're talking about somebody that needs the help right now, and Nate Stupar provides that. So he's gone. DJ Austin says, I hope they put JT Barrett on the PS practice squad. They did. Kayvon Wood said, who the hell is JT Gray? I don't even remember seeing him at all. Jameson should be on the team. Kayvon, I've been saying at the show, my man. I agree with you. I think Jameson is a better player than JT Gray. JT Gray didn't show me anything in training camp, didn't show me anything in preseason play. He wasn't tearing it up like, oh, well, we got to just keep JT Gray. I'm pretty sure if they would have waived JT Gray, JT Gray would have ended up on the practice squad. Nobody was going to pick up JT Gray. He didn't do anything. But they did pick up Cameron Moore. They did pick up Natrell Jameson. So we're in full agreement with that on that play. Keep up the good commentary, buddy. Marvin Norman, he said, I still think Jameson should have beat out Gray. Same thing. Kevon, Marvin Norman, you guys are splendid because you're saying a great thing, common sense. He also commented, Stalwart is strong as hell, very strong. We can work with that. That's true. I do like Stalwart. If you remember going back to the shows prior when we first started covering preseason, before preseason got started, when they had the mini camps and OTs and all that kind of stuff, we were talking about Taylor Stallworth then, about what he could bring and how looking and studying his footage that he was going to be a really good player for the team. Looking at it, we knew it. It's just one of those things you could see coming. And Taylor Stallworth, we knew he would be a force in that defensive lineman room, and he made the team. So when you talking about the longest of long shots, Taylor Stallworth, an undrafted guy, basically almost the last defensive tackle coming in this thing with him and Henry Mondu, and he was able to beat out guys like Devereaux Lawrence, Woody Hamilton, Jay Bromley, and the rest of these guys to get a spot on the team behind the rest of the starters. So very, very, very big thing. Big ups to Taylor Stallworth making the team. Marvin Norman also said, I'm cool with Boston Scott. Yeah, Boston Scott is he's going to be something else. He said Jameson effed him up. Yeah, it effed me up too. So I ain't going to lie about it. I don't like it. I think it's going to be a bad move. And the Houston Texans really have them an excellent defensive back. The guy is just going to be excellent. The Saints going to eat their words on that one. They getting beyond themselves. So that's what happened when you give people, when they do well and then you give them a little too much credit and they get carried away with it and think we got it now. No, that's why sometimes we have to be real stringent with our commentary on them, because you give them too much leeway and they'll take a mile. You see what I'm saying? You can't give them too much because they'll start feeling themselves. That's one of these moves with the Natrell Jameson move. Natrell could play. He was a safety in college. He was kick returning, punt returning. He changed him to a cornerback, which the Saints have the annoying habit of taking players and changing them into things that they weren't in college. You drafted them as a safety. Why not keep him at safety? Well, he said Big Q, his size lends well to the cornerback position. I get that. But why would you then draft Cameron Moore as a cornerback and convert him to a safety and then draft this other guy safety in turn? That makes no sense. And then you get mad at him when he don't adjust to you playing cornerback. That's crazy to me. That's almost like when Sean Payton was criticizing Andrews Pete a couple years ago about him not picking up the system fast enough, getting on him, being upset with him. I knew Pete came in overweight and out of shape because his studies at Stanford kept him them away from the training facility. But at the end of the day, you have to use your brain and understand that I'm asking this guy to play tackle at first, right tackle. Then this guy is here. Then I make him play left tackle. Then I move him, play him at guard. Then I move him to right guard. Then I get upset that he's not learning 4 freaking positions as fast as I would like him to. That type of thinking is absolutely crazy to me. And that's why I say I'll be on those guys when they do stupid stuff like that. That's one of these stupid moves by what they did with Nate Jamison. You didn't like, he was better than JT Gray. All around, he was better than J.D. Gray. He was better than Justin Hardy. Miss me with that crap about where Hardy made the team because of his special teams. He can't cover a bed. You're going to be comfortable with Justin Hardy when one of your top cornerbacks go down. I guarantee the Saints going to go and pull Marcus Williams off or try to find a guy similar to Sterling Moore and bring him and put him on the team. I promise you that. So why have that guy there? Nate Jamison could have been a guy that was behind Arthur Millette. I understand Arthur Millette made the team, but he could have been the guy, the last defensive back there and over Hardy. You can't tell me that he couldn't go get in there and play special teams. Now, he might have not have been as good as Hardy at first, but we got other guys that's good that can carry the weight. We got Chris Banjo running around out there. We had Nate Stupar. We had him until they cut him to keep an extra back and say Tremont Edmonds. Now, let me ask you something. Is Tremont Edmonds better than Nate Stupar on special teams? The answer is no. So why is he still on the team? Why cut him when you're not going to play Edmonds at all? So the key is you should have cut Edmonds and kept Stupar because he's a core special teams member. If it's all about special teams. But anyway, thank you guys for commenting on the questions. Remember, this show, the Sports Coma question of the day, is what do you think of some of the Saints players that didn't make the cut? The picks, that is. What do you think about the fact that the Saints, they cut 3 picks from this year's draft, 2 of which didn't make it back to the team? Tell me about that, because that's when is the last time that happened? That's been some time since the Saints drafted draft picks that didn't make the team. And it's not, you see what I'm saying? So answer that question. Tell me what you think, and I'll read the comments on the next show. So that'll be it. Thank you guys for listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys today. As always, if you enjoy the show, please feel free to go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/the PRO Media Network. Make a donation. Don't have to be a lot, 5, 10, whatever you got. If it's in your heart, give from your heart. You can make a one-time donation, or you can make a monthly contribution to the show to help build the platform. And as always, join our social media, Facebook, Instagram, all the links in the description section below. Also, you can help the show out too by going to the commercial links in the description section below and making a purchase from one of our sponsorship. That'll also go to help in the Sports Coma as well. Join us on social media at Facebook and Twitter. We blast out all the latest Saints news, so you don't even have to search for it. So just keep that in mind. And from me and the crew here at the Sports Coma, peace.
Forget ESPN or Fox. Get straight sports talk from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
Thank you for listening to the Pro Media Network, who provides hours and hours of free edutainment to you and yours. If you are benefiting positively from our content, please donate to help us grow our platform by going to www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. That's www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network, and support the true independent artists.
Hello, Tiger fanatics. Are you ready for some football? If so, you need to head over to Fanatics. Click the link in the description section below and head over to get great deals on all LSU Tiger gear right now. Fanatics have all the great selection on everything Tigers. They have ladies and men's and children jerseys, footwear, t-shirts and dresses, golf and sports equipment, hats, pajamas and underwear, lawn and office gear, auto accessories, pet accessories, and much, much more. So if you're a Tiger and you want to show your Tiger spirit, click the link below and head over to Fanatics now to get all the top-notch LSU Tiger gear. And for 24 hours only, shipping will be free on all orders over just $29. Head over now and click the link in the description section below and be ready in style. Go Tigers.
In today's world, children are bombarded with negativity on television, online, and at school. Our kids need to have a positive outlook on life and the world around them. I want to share with you a valuable resource you can use to bring positivity into your child's life. It's the new book, 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad G.J. Barabino. This is a simple guide loaded with wonderful and inspirational affirmations designed to uplift young people's spirits. This positive and powerful children affirmational is chock full and loaded with wonderful inspirational sayings that will lift your child's self-image to whole new levels through the awesome power of spoken word. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad G.J. Barabino. Available on Amazon. Order a copy for yourself, your child's teachers, or anyone you know with children. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image. Order your copy today.
What's up, sports world? This Big Q from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Talking to you about the website, theposhlifestyle.com. That's right, poshlifestyle.com. A great website where you can get great products at great prices. They sell organic herbs, vitamins, supplements, water filters for your home, EMF and cell phone radiation protection, healing magnetics and healing crystals, personal protection devices like cell phones, stun guns, and mace sprays, organic deodorants, shampoos, soaps, toothpaste, and more. They also sell 10A grade Brazilian hair. 10A music is available now. All kind of the latest downloadable mixtapes. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to theposhlifestyle.com. That's the Posh Lifestyle, life spelled with a Y, LYFE style.com. Put in the Sports Coma for the 10% discount on your purchase. It's a win-win. So get your mind and body right with the Posh Lifestyle.